what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Run the Ropes Media Podcast. Today, we're just going to be talking about the WWE Unreal Episode 1. It is now live, obviously, on Netflix. So, it's an interesting one, guys. It is definitely an interesting one. As far as entertainment value, I'll say this right away, right now. Entertainment value, this is a great watch. Definitely recommend go watching it. But I do feel like we slightly perhaps have over dramatized this, or we were very over dramatic when it came to us finding out that they were going to do this type of series, right? Everybody thought that this thing was going to ruin professional wrestling. Wrestling was never going to be the same after this, little docu series came out. And that's pretty much what it is. It's a little docu series. There's 5 episodes. Each episode is an hour in length, and there are some nuggets in here, that obviously we didn't know as fans, or like it's a real behind the scenes look. But as far as a lot of this stuff, I feel like if you are following any of the latest news and stuff like that in wrestling, and if you're a real wrestling fan, a lot of this stuff is pretty common knowledge. I mean, again, not all of it, but a lot of this stuff is pretty common knowledge. So for me personally, it's very good entertainment value, and it's just kind of a little bit more of a sneak peek backstage. And it's not like anything new, right? Like it wasn't anything groundbreaking as far as this documentary. As far as the behind the scenes stuff, they've been putting behind the scenes stuff out there for a while now, right? Like kayfabe is dead, unfortunately. Like, we know it, right? Like the magic is still there. As far as, like, if you're a wrestling fan, we love it. Okay, we love wrestling. We probably always will love wrestling. But kayfabe is dead, right? Like we know that these guys ain't the characters in real life than they are in person. So again, a lot of this stuff was just great entertainment value, and there were a couple nuggets that I found pretty interesting. So I got a list here, and we're gonna run down the list of some stuff that I thought was kind of noteworthy, and the takeaways from episode 1. Again, I'll be breaking down every episode. So there was 5, so we will have 4 more videos after this, but this is just going to involve episode 1. And episode 1 was pretty much just kind of like an introduction anyway, so nothing crazy happened in this one again. So we'll go over the first one that I thought was interesting. And the first one that I thought was pretty darn interesting was that Triple H pretty much thinks that it's very important to provide scarcity with certain superstars to make it feel more special when they do appear. Now, in reference to this, he was directly talking about Cody Rhodes, and he felt that if Cody was not there every single week, it would feel more special and more important when he did show up. Now, you got to remember, he is the WWE champion at the time of this documentary series, right? Until like the last episode or so. So he's basically talking about the scarcity mindset with their current WWE champion. I don't know how a lot of people will feel about that. I do think it's kind of interesting that he has adopted this mindset. Right? Like, we talk about this all the time on this channel, the Brock Lesnar schedule, the Brock Lesnar contract, where he would only defend the title on big PLEs, never a Monday Night Raw, never a SmackDown. Sometimes he'd show up the Raw, sometimes he'd show up you know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't there week in and week out, and he was the very first of his kind, really, when he came in 2012, that had this type of schedule and pull, right? So I think that it's kind of funny that Triple H pretty much adopted this mindset from Vince, right? Because that's when this whole thing was implemented, and now we talk about Roman Reigns taking it over as far as having the Brock Lesnar schedule. Now we call it the Roman Reigns schedule, the Roman Reigns contract, because he is the one that now has that privilege. And I don't know. I don't know. We talk about it all the time. Like we understand the schedule now is a lot easier on the wrestlers. It's great. They get more time with their family. They get time for vacations and holidays off and all this great stuff, right? It's not a 365 days a year anymore where they're out there traveling. So I do think that's good. As far as you being the WWE champion, though, I don't know if I like that scarcity mindset, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'd be interested in what you guys think about that. So definitely let me know down below in the comment section what you guys think about Triple H pretty much adopting this from the whole Vince mindset, right? So the second thing that I thought was interesting in episode 1, you got kind of the behind the scenes look at Rhea's shoulder injury, which was definitely a legit injury. She was pushed in, in the backstage segment with Liv Morgan, pushed into the wall. She had like a grade 3 shoulder separation. She didn't end up needing surgery for it. She opted to not go ahead and have the surgery. It pretty much sped up the recovery time. She would have had to have surgery. It was like a 6 to 9 month, and then her letting it heal up on her own, it was about 3 to 4 months. So that's what she ended up doing. But I thought it was cool to see kind of the reaction of the different people backstage with, how they dealt with an injury, right? Like Triple H is basically telling her, comforting her, saying, you don't have to worry about your spot. It's going to be here when you get back, get yourself healthy. You're the best to do this, you know what I'm saying? So I thought that was pretty cool. CM Punk comforted her. It was kind of nice to get a little behind the scenes look at what they kind of go about doing when an injury like this happens. So thought that was interesting. Again, entertainment value, right? A little bit more behind the scenes, nothing groundbreaking there. Um, here's a key takeaway from episode 1. Definitely, if you guys watched it, was the tension and kind of the history between Triple H and CM Punk. This isn't anything new. We've known this for years now about that they didn't get along, right? Like originally, it's because Triple H didn't think CM Punk fit the mold, right? He comes from ECW, wasn't a born and bred WWE guy, right? So Triple H always had that kind of animosity. They were both top stars when CM Punk got to the main roster, so on and so forth. But here's the thing, and by the way, their relationship, it seems like, is great now, especially in the upcoming episodes that we'll be breaking down. But I did think this was pretty interesting. Obviously, Vince had to be included in this too, but they didn't mention him at all in this series, which obviously. But Triple H and CM Punk had met a handful of times and had different conversations throughout that whole 10-year absence of CM Punk from WWE to try to get him to come back. And Triple H said that the reason that they could never get a deal together was because he felt as though CM Punk was the exact same person as he was when he left, and that he needed to work on his interactions with other people. And he also admitted that to his own fault is that he needed to change as well. And when they finally came to the agreement for him to return, which they went into it, it had to be, top 3 of all time returns, CM Punk returning at Survivor Series War Games in that November. But the reason why it worked then is because they felt that they both had made the necessary changes in their character, and pretty much he was saying that, CM Punk is like a whole different person than those first couple of meetings. But I did think it was interesting, right? Because CM Punk for the whole 10 years was out there saying, I'll never return to WWE. He was even saying he wouldn't come back to wrestling. Obviously, we know he went to AEW for that stint as well. But, just thought that was kind of interesting that actually behind the scenes, they did actually indeed have talks for CM Punk to come back. The one thing I thought was pretty funny throughout the whole series, right? Then that was the whole gorilla position. They made a huge deal out of the gorilla position. We know what the gorilla position is. If you're a wrestling fan, we know this, right? Again, nothing groundbreaking here. We know that it's just the area before the performers go out into the stadium. It's also where the match producer of the match is, where, Triple H sits, Bruce Pritchard sits, where the referees kind of hang out. The agents behind the matches as well. They all are there, and they're all feeding information to the referee live in the ring, and who relays it to the performers. We know this, right? We know this. But I thought it was funny seeing how they all interacted when stuff would happen, out there, especially like when something was not going to according to plan, or something went kind of wrong, right? Wrong is a minor statement with what I'm about to say now. The best interaction by far is how Bruce Pritchard was seriously pissed about CM Punk and Seth Rollins going over their time on the Raw edition on Netflix. So the very first edition, January 6th, the Raw on Netflix debut. And Abyss was the match producer. He's a great match producer, by the way. Never got the opportunity to wrestle in WWE, didn't want to go there. Long-term TNA guy. He's now a producer for WWE. He's been there for a couple years or a long time. I don't know how many years, but great producer. And everybody kind of was there, kind of like, giving him his kudos. He was so upset that Punk and Rollins went overtime. He was apologizing to Bruce, and Bruce did not want anything to do with him, bro. I'm talking about giving him the cold shoulder. Abyss was like, I want you to be happy. How did we do stuff? William Regal had to go over to Abyss and pretty much say, like, you're great at this. This was a phenomenal job. You should be proud of yourself. You did a great job. And Bruce Pritchard is sitting there. He's just so pissed that they went over by 2 minutes. I guess he was also angry because as far as the fans, I'm sure. I mean, I thought this. I know Break thought this as well. We kind of all were under the impression when it went to Netflix, maybe there weren't going to be as many time constraints. Maybe they would be able to go longer. Maybe whatever the case. But I guess it is still a very strict schedule when it is on Raw on Netflix. So I thought that was pretty interesting how crucial it is to hit your times, and he wasn't having it, man. They cut a lot of stuff out of that match as well, and he still wasn't happy about it. So I thought that was pretty funny. You'll guys see too, there's more interactions kind of similar or, well, better, but throughout the episodes. And again, we'll be breaking all that down. But pretty much the takeaway from episode 1 right off the bat is just how much detail and effort and how big of an ordeal it is for each and every episode of a Monday Night Raw, a Friday Night SmackDown, a Saturday Night's Main Event, a big PLE. Like, everything is so, it's like a well-oiled machine, right? Like, everything has to be on point. Everything is so well coordinated between the refs, the people who set up the ring, the commentators, the Triple H, who is, man, I give Triple H so much credit. Not that I didn't before. He gets a lot of flack for some of the booking decisions, and we got to look behind the writers' room. So we'll break those down in the different episodes as well, kind of how that whole process works. But he gets a lot of flack. But man, this guy is a worker, man. I don't know how he gets any sleep. My man's out there just grinding, thinking about wrestling and the storylines coming up for a whole year, man. They plan this stuff out for a whole year. So it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of energy, it's a lot of time that goes into it. They do, what I did like about this too is it kind of gave an insider look on how the guys think, right? Not necessarily like ruining too inside baseball where it's going to ruin the experience for the fan, but they kind of think like us. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you guys have thought about it, they most likely have also thought about the exact same scenario. So maybe we got to ease up on them a little bit when it comes to, not doing exactly how we envisioned it or wanted it to go, because there is so much involved, man. But it is kind of funny, to see. It's like they're also fans themselves, and it is kind of cool to see them bounce ideas around that, like we think, right? Like, hey, we'll get into the next episodes about the whole Royal Rumble decision on how they chose the winner for that. But yeah, man, overall, again, great watch. If you guys are on the fence about watching even the first episode, watch the first episode. It's not groundbreaking. Nothing's going to ruin professional wrestling. It's not going to, ruin the magic of wrestling. The magic is there for true fans, right? If you're a true fan of professional wrestling, the magic is going to be there. We're going to be diehard wrestling fans until the end. You're going to watch week in and week out anyway. So, yeah, watch it. It's a great watch. I recommend at least watching the first episode. And if you're not into it, you don't have to continue. Again, there's 5 episodes, an hour long each episode. So it doesn't take up a whole bunch of your time. But yeah, they will be continuing this as well. Obviously, they're going to be recording stuff, all behind the scenes stuff anyway. So there will be more of these things, I guess, at a later date. So if you guys enjoyed this content, make sure you guys are smashing that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let us know down below in the comment section what you guys thought about the entire episode 1 and your thoughts on it and all that good stuff. If you will be watching, if you don't want to watch, let us know all that good stuff down below. And other than that, man, you got your boy Dylan, and I'm out. Peace.